Oh, awesome. Well, thank you guys so very much for taking the time to be able to do this interview, being able to talk about some brand new music from sometime in February, just about 2 weeks out from Inside Out Music. It's incredible to see the response I've seen you guys have been getting, especially since the first video. I've just seen the name just like pop up everywhere that I am online, and it just makes me so happy because I've known Scott for so long. And it's just it's so great to see you guys like putting out such incredible music and people responding to it so well.
Thanks.
Thank you. It's been awesome. Yeah, we have been stoked on the response to it, and we don't go into it with that in mind, but we're just doing our thing, having some fun, making music we like. So yeah, it's been greit.
Oh,
That
totally.
said, real quick, let me wax poetic about me and Josh going back a ways. So let me set the scene. It's probably like 2009-ish when I first enter the picture, so to speak. There's this little forum on the edge of the internet called the Mike Portnoy Forums, where there was this guy named That Drummer Guy who was constantly posting reviews, and he eventually started getting into interviews with bands. And I was just like, how can this one guy listen to so much music and talk about it so constantly? It was very, very impressive. But That Drummer Guy is the man we stand before here, Josh. And that's how we met way back on the Mike Portnoy forums. Like, there's so many cool things that sprung from that place, and it's a shame that it's no longer around. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything from Keith K to Blast Bears to everything else that's going on. I
Blast
miss those days
Bears.
so much. One single typo I make when I'm trying to say blast beats and it just lived on in infamy.
Wait, wait, you were the origin of Blast Bears
I,
was
yeah,
you? I did not know
yeah.
that. That's
I,
crazy.
I I
Okay.
misspelled blast beats and got blast bears.
Oh, good times.
Oh, definitely. But in speaking of good times, that's how I feel every time that I listen to both albums that have been released so far. But again, just like seeing the chemistry that you guys have been doing over the years, and especially what's been going on with this album, like I just love how heavy it gets. I love the emotional moments that go through here. Just the intricate playing that all of you guys are doing. It's just so cool to see the progression that you guys have had.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey getting to this moment, from getting started and then uh linking up with Scott and Morgan. And yeah, we think we've built up some great chemistry and some great dynamics, and it's only like been improving as we keep going. So yeah, it's been awesome with them.
So, with that said, what was it like to start writing for this particular album?
So I kind of got started like immediately after we got the masters back for our first album, There It Goes. Uh Basically Palantir, first thing that was written, and I wrote that, like most of it fully formed in maybe the couple weeks immediately following getting the masters back. And so I was ready to go and basically just started sending them stuff immediately. And yeah, it took not long before we just started working on new stuff. We were pretty hungry for it. And I mean, they can kind of tell you about the stuff I would send like right away.
Yeah, I mean, I was like basking in the glory, so to speak, of getting the There Goes Masters back, and I'm talking like a couple days later, he's like, "Here's a new song." I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like you've already wrote something else, and like the world hasn't even heard what we finished just now." But that's the kind of prolific writer that Tristan is. He's pretty much always coming up with some sort of new musical idea. So it's always fun to see what we receive, and sometimes it's like, "Bro, this is insane. How are we supposed to do something with this?" But it pushes me to play better. I'm sure Morgan agrees on that
Oh,
aspect.
yeah.
Like it's definitely a heavy push.
Yeah, definitely trying to like stay, locked in with Scott on top of trying to mimic some of the like harmonic runs and stuff Tristan's doing. It's definitely leveled me up as a musician. It's crazy to see how it's all developed over the years too. It's like it's definitely challenged me and made me grow significantly as a technical musician.
Yeah, and again, it's so great to see that from all three of you. But I will specifically point out Scott because it's just like I'm so familiar with your drumming over the years, but it feels like this time it's just like you got into like maximum overload on this one, just like with the technicality that you're doing. I hear those Mike Portnoy riffs that you pulled that you stole on this album. Don't think I
Oh
didn't hear
yeah.
that, but
All
I
that's funny. That's one of the I would call it a critique in a few places is like, oh, this guy's ripping off Mike Portnoy. And I'm like, well, it's Mike Portnoy. I love the guy. Why wouldn't I rip him off? Like he does stuff, it sounds cool. I do the same stuff. It's gonna sound cool because it's a Mike Portnoy thing. But yeah, you're totally right.
and I totally do the same thing anytime I ever play. Like I occasionally steal some of his stuff on there, so I can't hold that against you. But it does sound so cool
Well,
when
I
you do
do have
do it.
the Octobarns, so to speak, on the new material that I bought after There Goes. So this was the debut of the Octobans for our stuff at least.
Yeah, you got Octobarns on here, you got Blast Bears on here, you got everything.
For sure.
So thinking about that, I mean, obviously, when Tristan is like writing out the full song and everything, like, does the song change much at all, like structure-wise, from how you originally write it when you guys are a part of it, or do you just add your own styles to what's already there?
It kind of differs depending on the song. A lot of times, like his skeleton is pretty close to the final parts, but obviously he lets me and Morgan kind of do our own take on his original sections. And sometimes if like something comes to me and I'm like, I really think this would feel cool with a different feel altogether, I'll run it by him. And if he's got a real specific vision, he might say, "Can you keep it a little closer to my demo or my demo parts?" But generally, we can kind of do what we want to on the rhythm section. Morgan, what's your
Yeah,
take
and I
there?
I I definitely try to I definitely try to be the last one to come in because like I want to see what Scott's gonna do. That way it kind of influences a lot of the ways that I want to take it because there's been some times where I've heard on the skeleton like something that's a little bit more like straightforward, like more of a metal progression, but then I might hear Scott add a little flair that adds like a, I don't know, kind of a Latin jazzy kind of groove into there, and that makes me kind of like, oh, I want to add the kind of this inflection into the space part, or something like that. So I come in a little bit later, but yeah, more often it really does vary. More often than not, I've noticed that the skeletons are pretty much close to what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's just again, it's just so cool to see that. And I mean, again, when I think about the first album, and I again see the progression of what's going on now, and just seeing that chemistry between all three of you, it's just so cool to see all of that happening. And it's just like the more that I listen to the album, like the more intricate parts that I start to hear. Like even though it's just the three of you, it's like I hear so many dynamic levels that's going on through all of it. I mean, there's so many great layers when you listen for it. Like whether you're looking for more emotional moments, heavier moments, Latin moments, off the wall moments. I mean, it's got everything, but it's all this great cohesive style as well too. I mean, you're not just showing off to show off. It feels like everything has a purpose.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing that I love about the music that we have been able to put together like as a whole. Um, it's it's not just uh wankery or just, too self-indulgent. It all serves a purpose, and that's something I try and keep in mind and try and have us do is everything you know, needs to be very utilitarian and just, nothing is wasted. Any ideas we have in a song, like I want to make sure to like flesh that out to its fullest potential. Like if there's this cool chord progression, I might want to revisit that later and have a different take on it or all those things. So I want to, and I think we're good at it, is all of us just kind of taking these ideas and getting the absolute most out of them, whether, coming it from all these different angles.
So
So
thinking about that a little bit deeper, like how is that for you? Like when you're coming up with the songs and you're about to share it with the other guys, like when you're coming up with like the arrangements, like do you know like immediately like the structure of how you want to be able to do this, or does it take a long time for you to be able to get the arrangement of all of it, or how does that go for you?
for me, honestly, it's like I feel like I have two different uh types of songs that I write. Some of them, uh, they will come together very quickly, literally like over the course of maybe a couple days, and I'll just like get very full fleshed out songs with the structure uh immediately, and I'll just like immediately know what to do, where everything's supposed to go. And those tend to be my favorite songs that we've done. Like Palantir's one, The Bad Fight is another. But then there are some songs that I just hit a wall with, and that's when I will uh go and reach out to Morgan and Scott and see if they hear anything, see what they want to do. And sometimes those songs can take a while to actually reach the finish line with. Like I might come up with multiple different parts that I just don't know where they go. Like I know they're in the same key or stylistically or tonally fit together, so I want them to be the same song. So I'll just kind of demo out these sections individually and then just kind of show them, and we'll put them together like a puzzle. And those turn out very fun. It also makes me very grateful to have help and the other input from Scott and Morgan, and because some of this stuff I don't think I could ever do. Uh, and there's some of these songs on this record that are definitely only possible because of Scott and Morgan. So, so yeah, basically, two different kinds of songs that I can write that appear on these albums. So, yeah,
Let me tell a quick story about the Bad Fight real fast. It came together quick overall, but one of the it might have been the very first version of the second version that he sent just had these couple of clips sort of separated that he knew wanted to go together. And I described it as like, is this what it's like being inside your brain? You'll just have like this riff idea that's like 5 seconds of insanity, and then a couple seconds, and then another 10 seconds of another part that, eventually they're gonna go together. But for now, it just sounds like random noise, but in a really cool way. That
yeah,
cracks me up thinking about that.
Yeah, I love it how it comes together like that sometimes. I mean, sometimes it takes instances like that, and sometimes they end up being like the best songs as well. Like when you have a hard time being able to figure it out, but once it unlocks, it all makes sense.
yeah, it's pretty cool to see the different outcomes. Like I said, it's seeing what is possible with heavy input from, you know, the other guys from like an earlier stage in the writing of the song is always pretty cool. And that's something I want to try and intentionally do more because I'm very much the way where I will want to write something and I'll want to like kind of have like a full vision for it at once before I send it off. It kind of physically pains me to not be able to hear the full vision. So I try my best to get a fully fleshed out track uh, before I send it to them. But I would like to, in the future, as we go forward, I would love to just kind of come up with a basic idea, send it to them, have their input, and then just keep going from there. And that's something that that takes more effort to me than writing a fully fleshed out demo. So it's cool to see how different they can be.
Yeah, that makes me excited for whatever that next release will be whenever that happens. Because, I mean, if it might start off that way, whether it be like a full album's worth or just some ideas of songs or whatever that ends up being, like, I'm very curious to see what that songwriting process will be like.
Us
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's I've Scott can be the first one to tell you that he's so far contributed more to future writing than me or Morgan. I've just like not had time to feel comfortable and sit down and just write uh new sometime in February stuff just yet. So I've kind of waiting. I'm trying not to rush that whole uh process. So, usually, if I don't have as much stuff going on, I will already have written, half an album by now, but um so it'll be a little while before I sit down and actually intentionally and dedicating my time to writing the new stuff. So who knows what it'll sound like? Because I certainly don't.
Well, you have this little gig that's taking up a lot of your time learning half of another band's discography, so I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, it's a little bit time consuming. I literally before this and after this, I've been working on some very intense uh progressive death metal from 2005. So,
Anything you can
yeah.
talk about, or is that news that's going to be coming out later?
Oh,
Oh, it's happened. It's in a few weeks I'm doing the Coma Alaska tour with Between the Buried and Me.
I
Uh
did not know that. That is
oh
so
yeah. Yeah, I'm once again gonna be playing second fiddle to Mr. Wagoner on the tour. So I've already learned Coma Ecliptic at this point, and I'm inching to the finish line with learning Alaska, and it's kind of a lot to keep in your head.
Oh, that is just so cool. Like Alaska was like a life-changing album for me. Like I mean, I discovered BT Bam from the Silent Circus,
Yeah.
but it was Alaska where it's like I really fully grasped onto them, and I again, like, and speaking of progression of bands, I love seeing how they've skyrocketed and what they've really done with the songwriting and everything that's a part of that, and seeing that you're a part
Oh,
of that. Like
absolutely.
I had absolutely no idea that you were doing that in the live setting. That is just so cool.
Yeah, I've well, this will be my third tour with them. So first tour played through Parallax 2 all the way through, and then last year we did the Colors Experience tour where we played Colors in full one night and Colors 2 in full the next. So, yeah, this will be albums 4 and 5 with them that I'll have played. So, yeah, it's a lot of work, a little bit of pressure, to say the least, but it's a great time. Love those guys. It's I mean, done wonders for sometime in February as well. And yeah, great gig. I hope I have it, as long as I can. So
Oh, totally.
there's only so many albums they can have me learn. So,
Well, when you guys do the self-titled tour, I mean that'll be interesting to see how that goes over, especially
oh
for all the
yeah.
rock fans that are out there, and then they hear that. I'm not sure how many B Team band fans are actually familiar with like the first two albums because like anytime that I've ever gone to a show, it's like they've never heard the Silent Circus, they never heard the self-titled, like they just
Yeah.
thought they started with Alaska.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've certainly not had to learn any of those songs. So yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't even know if they'd want to play those albums, honestly. Uh, so who knows? We'll see.
Well, I was just about to say with that. Well, one thing I know that you're working with Paul with, well, obviously it's happened a while back, but it was like my first knowing of you two working together is seeing all of your acting skills together in the video for the big fight, which was just such a hilarious video to see. Like I really love how that turned out. I mean, everything from the cinematography to just seeing the big fight in the big fight. Like, how did that all
Yeah.
come together?
That was a lot of fun. We had written this song. We knew we wanted it to be probably the first single that we'd put out um from this album. And we had to do a couple music videos, so of course, we had to do one for this. It was a while. We were tossing around ideas for um the video, and we knew it had to be some fight of some sort. So we had a couple different ideas of different kinds of fights, but I knew this one spot, this location, which was the old courthouse. And I was like, okay, well, I know they like do shows and stuff there, so I could be able to rent it out so we could use it. And sure enough, rented it out, decided to go with the whole legal spoof. Uh, and Paul, who I had got to do a guest solo on the Bad Fight, he I mentioned that we were doing a music video, and I was like, hey, if you want, because I was already feeling, lucky that he did the guest solo. I was like, if you want, we're shooting a video. If you want to, come down for an hour and we'll shoot you playing your solo, that'd be cool. And it's like, yeah, that sounds good to me. And I was explaining the what the video was gonna be, and I was like, you don't have to be in like the story element, just the performance element. And he's like, do you want me to be in the story element? This sounds fun. I'm like, don't play with me because I will put you in a costume if you actually entertain this idea. and he was fully down. He was there having a great time, Um, and it turned out real well. It was a very full day shooting that. We did it, over the course of one long day. The video turned out awesome, really funny, and was kind of I know I thought the idea was funny, and I was just hoping that that would translate to other people thinking it's funny. So, for our first big professional music video shoot, instead of just going for a full, you know, performance type video, going for a kind of comedic thing, I felt was a little risky, and I was like kind of panicky before we got the first edit back, and sure enough, turned out very nicely. People got it, and that song as a whole is honestly just I'm very, very proud of that and how that all turned out. And Morgan got to show off his stunt work in there,
Yeah, I was about
which
to say, Morgan, you got to talk about your background in stunt work because that ended up being a bigger part of the video than we ever expected it was going to be.
I don't know. I grew up doing like martial arts and gymnastics and stuff alongside of music, and we were Tristan and I were just shoving each other, and I was just like, I don't know. I got a little overweight, and I was just like, you know what? I'm feeling like let's go for it. And he just kind of threw me. I was like, let's go for it. And I just threw myself onto the floor, and it's pretty funny because I almost rolled in into several people as they were filming, but
Yeah, Luke was like, "What was that?" And that's when you had to be like, "Well, I used to do stunt work," and he was like, "Well, now we got to do it over and over."
yeah, yeah, and no, it was fun, but no, I hurt myself doing that back in like 2011, 2012, and so I kind of stopped, but been slowly getting back in shape and trying to be able to play around with some of those old moves again and whatnot, but no,
I got to give
that
you
was that was
props
nothing. That
too.
was just a roll. It wasn't like I had to do like spins and land on my face or anything like that, but
And I realize now we never really showed like the what happened at the end of the trial, but I got to give you props for being the worst, best prog metal lawyer for me in my criminal enterprise. I'm not sure what my crime was. Actually, tell you what, some of the dialogue where we were just making stuff up when we were shooting, wasn't it like I put too many 4/4 beats in a
beats
prog
in a
song or
prog
something?
sound.
That
Yeah.
was my crime.
Yep,
You got to offset those snares if you're playing in 4/4. That way you keep it proggy.
Absolutely.
he did not. He did not.
Nope. Nope.
So,
Jail.
so the main thing I'm getting from all this is you're not saying no to potential stunt work happening in future videos.
I'm not saying no to that. No. I've a good one of my best friends. He got me out to a gym, and we've been kind of training on and off here and there, just kind of lightly and stuff. So it's like I'm moving my body again, trying to get back in shape, and yeah, it's I don't know, it'd be fun. Who knows what the future holds?
Oh, so cool. Well, and I mean, obviously visually, I do love what was going on with the video, but of course, my very first taste of everything that was going on with this album was seeing the album cover, which I really think does reflect, especially at the second half of the album. Like, I really think it fits so well with that. Like, where did that album cover come from?
Well, we our artwork was done by Mr. Daniel McBride, not to be confused with Danny McBride. But Daniel McBride, he did some work for Between the Buried and Me. Um, and Tommy connected me with him, dude, and recommended him. So got in touch with him, and yeah, he was very down to work with us. Kind of explained the vision, which was like honestly pretty vague. It was like, okay, well, we know what we want the album to be named, so there needs to be a mountain or mountains on the cover, but we want like some kind of surreal aspect to it. That was basically all we told him. He sent us like five different options, and all of them were awesome. And we ended up uh taking three of those designs and used them for uh other parts of the layout and for another single cover, just because it was so great. And he just a couple minor adjustments and he knocked it out of the park. It was a very painless part of the process, which is great, especially for me, who's not a very visual guy artistically. So that felt good and very striking. It's very eye-catching for sure. That's, something lots of people have told me. And yeah, it was honestly really easy. He's just does good work. He mentioned he had just gone up uh to the mountains and took some pictures literally like, in the weeks leading up to me reaching out. So he just used some of those, morphed them, and there we go.
What impeccable timing of that. I mean,
I know.
considering that he already did that and you already had this mindset of what you wanted the album to be. So, I mean, that's really cool how that all works out.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure he was like, "Mountains, I got you guys."
Oh, that's so cool. Well, I mean, it's great to see everything that you guys are doing together, and of course, things that are currently happening right now. I mean, of course, me just learned that Tristan, you're doing all the stuff with Between the Buried and Me and learning some new material there. Morgan, you're getting back into the martial arts stuff and stunt work and stuff. But Scott, what are you doing? I mean,
Yeah,
I know you've been
Scott.
talking to me, but what have you been up to?
Um, if I'm being totally honest, what I've kind of been spending time on lately is sort of learning like the video editing aspects. Like a lot of the material we're putting out lately is stuff that I'm having to put together, and it's not really something that I had done before, but it's a rabbit hole that goes very deep. I mean, you can obviously do like a simple thing and make it look fine, but I'm kind of trying to learn some tricks and get better at editing stuff quickly. And I think we're planning, at least as far as the band goes, probably doing some more album playthroughs, and that's something that I'll have a hand in. But just basically trying to extend what I can do for the band and just make things easier, keep things a little bit more in house. I guess it's probably a good way to put it.
Oh yeah, the more stuff that you can do DIY, the better it is, and it just extends your palette on what you can do too, because you never know how that could work for stuff in the future. Because, like if you got some downtime, maybe someone will want to reach out to you for some editing work or any other stuff that could happen. I mean, when I was doing all of my band stuff, that would happen to me all the time, and that's kind of pretty much how I started that drummer guy and then turning into heavy debriefings is exactly that. I mean, I got a radio show just based off of all the side stuff that I would do for my bands. And here it is now, 938 interviews later.
Wow.
I'm talking with you guys. It's so cool to see.
That's awesome. And that said, I do need to say we have an awesome team behind us at Inside Out and Sony Music. Absolutely love those guys. They have been so great to work with. They truly believe in what we're doing, and it feels good to have a team like that behind us at all times.
Oh yeah, Inside Out has been a part of my musical experience since like 2004, I think. So, like 21 years later and just like seeing friends of mine actually getting to be on Inside Out and putting out some prestigious records now as well. I mean, again, just like seeing your name come across like so many places that I go to online and just like praising this album. It's made me so happy because again, like Scott, I've known you for so long and just like seeing, just like all this great recognition that's happening for the band and getting to meet you guys as well too and just like seeing everything that you guys are a part of and what you can do on record and outside of the band as well too. It's just like I can tell the three of you just have fun working with each other. I mean, you can really tell that from the Big Fight music video, but really, just like musically, everything that's going on is just so cool. And I couldn't be prouder to like be able to promote you guys in this way, getting to know you guys. I think it's the first time we've actually done an interview, right, Scott? Like I don't think we did
Absolutely.
anything for
Yep.
Trios on Mars and stuff.
No, we
I
did
played you
not.
guys, but I never got to do an interview. So
Yep.
I,
So this has been a long time coming for sure, and we
oh,
definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk to us too.
oh, definitely. And for what a great album as well. Like I think this is gonna be one of my favorite albums at the end of the year as well too. Like when I do my mega list of like my top 100 of the year, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be at a pretty good number, I would say so far. Even though it's only April so far. Like whenever that happens in the holidays, I think it's gonna be pretty high up. And I just want to thank you guys again for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on, like all the cool stuff in the band, outside of the band, working together, what to look forward to in the future. Is there anything that we've left out?
I want to bring up we have a pretty big gig for us coming up in August. We are going to cross the pond for the first time to play Arctangent in the UK.
And
Nice, nice.
So yeah, we're very excited about that. I've never left the country at all in my whole life. Almost 33 years old, so that's going to be a first for me. But definitely very excited for that. And we should have another announcement fairly soon that we can't talk about quite yet,
Sure.
but is also pretty big. So keep an eye out for that too.
Well, that's got me excited. I'm always excited for everything that you got going on, and of course, being a fan since the first album, again, just seeing the progression of you guys, just incredible to see, and I can't wait to see what you guys are up to next.
Well,
Thanks
thanks,
so
Josh.
much.
I'm
thanks for having
really,
us.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. If there's anything else you want to plug or anything, of course, the album, like tour dates that you're doing with Between the Buried and Me. If there's anything you guys want to promote in any way, shape, or form, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, so our album, Where Mountains Hide, is out everywhere. You know, you can buy physical copies from centurymedia.store. Um, we have merch available on our website, which is just sometimeinfebruary.com. Yeah, I'll be on the Coma Alaska tour with Between the Buried and Me this spring, so come out and say hey. And yeah, we'll be sometime in February, we'll be out at Arctangent in August over near Bristol. So yeah, come say hey to us.
So one thing when it comes to something like, I mean, especially when you're doing such a prestigious fest like that, like how hard is it to like be able to come up with a set list like that? I mean, are you guys just going to be doing the songs that you're most familiar with? Or are you going to be doing with like the songs that you think are going to go over the best? Or how do you put together a set list like that?
You know, it's tough. We're like kind of in that stage right now. We're like we just played a couple shows locally to celebrate our album release, and we thought that was a pretty good set. Um so I think we might base it off that from current conversations. Of course there's a matter of like, okay, well, we're gonna be overseas, so how much do we want to take with us? You know, some of our songs are seven string songs, uh, and the rest are mostly six string. So, okay, how many guitars do we want to bring? Um, Stuff like that to take into account. Don't quite know exactly how long our set's going to be yet. I imagine no more than 30 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. So we'll have to see. We keep an eye on what people are listening to, what songs get added to playlist and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a number of factors. I mean, there's a few songs that we're absolutely gonna play, like Palantir, The Bad Fight. Those, you know, can't not be played. So, but yeah, I imagine it'll be nearly entirely new stuff. I can't really see us playing very many older uh non-album tracks. So yeah, it's definitely a current conversation we have going.
Oh, very cool. And keeping that in mind, Scott, I imagine you're not going to be able to bring your kid over for that set. So,
Yes.
so how is that for you to like be able to transition to like doing like house kits or rented kits and stuff like that? How is that for you?
So Tristan can tell you, I am currently freaking out over that about 4 months in advance. I assume it's going to be a rental kit for ATG, and I mean, I can kind of get away with like playing the stuff. There is a bare minimum. Like I have to have at least one rack tom and one floor tom, probably a stack at this point because the album is full of just stack parts, and it just doesn't sound right if I have to play them on like an open hat or a ride cymbal or anything. I'm probably gonna bring my own double pedal. I imagine like I'd rather just not risk having to sit on something I've totally never played before, but. Yeah, I'm a little worried, but I'm sure it'll work out in the end. But yeah, believe me, I'm stressing over it a little bit.
Well, I know you guys are gonna nail it. I mean, whatever the situation might arise, I mean, it's just so cool to see you guys are out promoting the album with live shows locally, going overseas to be able to do stuff, and whatever might happen again in the future. I'm looking at my Zoom clock and I see it's just about to cut off, but I just want to thank you guys once again for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in the world of sometime in February. It really means a lot that you guys reached out to want to do an interview and be able to uh, promote yourselves in the best way that I know I can help you guys out. So, it's just like it was awesome to be able to talk to all three of you and thank you guys once again for taking the time.
Dude, thank you, Josh. Like this has been an extremely fun interview. Not to say that the other ones we've done haven't been fun too, but this one's been extra fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
can't agree. Can't agree. So thank you a lot, Josh. It's been great talking with you.
yeah, absolutely likewise. I'm gonna start editing this as soon as I hit end on here. I should hopefully have this up as soon as tomorrow. I'll make sure to edit out the beginning and stuff like that when it was just Scott and I on here, and make sure it's on the dead spot right in the beginning. So, yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this. I can't wait to show this off, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, man. You too.
Great. Awesome.
Take care.
Later.
All right, you too. Bye bye.